You're listening to KNX In Depth with Chris Stevens. I'm Brian Ping, and today for Charles Feldman.
The latest results involving an experimental drug have some very promising findings when it comes to treating Alzheimer's disease. Phase 3 trial data shows lecanemab, after 18 months, year and a half, associated with more clearance of amyloid and less cognitive decline.
While the findings offer hope, they also raise safety concerns because of the drug's association with some serious adverse effects. Susan Howland is program director of the Alzheimer's Association California Southland chapter, and Tony Gonzalez is an Alzheimer's Association National Early Stage Advisor. He was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment at the age of 47 last year. Susan, let's start with you. Of course, amyloid, that's the plaque. When people talk about Alzheimer's, it's the plaque that builds up and that disturbs brain function. And quite simply, this drug aims to counter that plaque and keep it from falling, right?
Yes. And, the hallmark signs of Alzheimer's disease are those plaques, as you mentioned, and tangles which occur inside the brain. So lecanemab reduces the amount of that amyloid plaque in the brain. And with the reduction of that plaque, you see a slowing in cognitive decline, as well as some of our activities of daily living. So really meaningful change in somebody's day-to-day life.
Tony, let's get to you. Tony Gonzalez, you were diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment at the age of 47. That was last year. You're with the Alzheimer's Association as an early stage advisor. Tell me just how much of a breakthrough could this possibly be for people like yourself?
Sure. Thanks, guys, for having me here today. This is huge news for me. Somebody like me, what that brain fog is like, it's kind of funny. The best thing I could describe it is we've all kind of had a hangover. Well, imagine a hangover that lasts all day long, that also makes you cold, that can make you shaky. That's the sundowners that kicks in the afternoon. All these things. It's not just about memory. But at the end of the day, what this means is the capacity that I'm at now, and I'm in mild cognitive impairment, if we can get the medicines into us early and help us early, that means we're going to have more time with our families, more time to be more productive and do things in our community. So this is great news.
So you were diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. Now, is this necessarily tied to Alzheimer's? Is this because you may have some of these plaques that could be targeted and treated by this drug?
That's such a great question. So it all falls under the umbrella term or the umbrella name of dementia. Under dementia, there are several diseases that fall under that. Parkinson's is one of them. Alzheimer's is one of them. Lewy bodies, which we all remember from Robin Williams, that's one of them as well. And there's many, many more. So the process of finding out what is going on with you really is a long, tedious process that you and your family or your caregivers, the people that work and live with you, they start to see changes. They start to see that, hey, this guy used to be able to do this and he can't do that. For me, I was a banker for a while and had several branches, and now I have a first grade level math, and I miss spreadsheets, if you can believe that or not, but I do. I miss a good spreadsheet. So it affects us all differently. It's quite a thing.
Susan, what steps must still be taken before lecanemab becomes a major treatment we can all depend upon?
So it has not actually been FDA approved yet. There are expected to be some FDA approvals probably early next year. So once it is, from the Alzheimer's Association standpoint, most of the data around safety and efficacy look very positive, and it seems as though there's a robust profile of data for the FDA to review in order to make a decision. So we'll wait for their FDA approval announcement.
And there are believed to be some rather serious side effects here, possible bleeding, things like it kind of sounds on its face like it acts like a blood thinner, except it's a plaque thinner, and that can carry the risk of, there could be some excess bleeding there, which could be hard to control.
Some individuals do experience that, brain swelling as well as brain bleeds. Most were reported to be somewhat manageable as well. I think it's also important to remember that most treatments and most medications do have side effects, and that's where it's really important for individuals to work with their physician and with their family to really weigh pros and cons, risks and benefits, to come up with the right treatment plan for themselves and their family.
All right, Susan and Tony, both thank you so much for joining us today. That's Susan Howland, Program Director of the Alzheimer's Association California Southland Chapter, and Tony Gonzalez. He was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment at 47 last year. He is an Alzheimer's Association National Early Stage Advisor.
Thanks, guys.
Today is Wednesday. It's Hump Day. But how would you like it if you were already into your second?
Thank you guys so much, everyone.